Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Steven Singer Studios. Marc Farzetta with you here on the Farzy Show. So much to get into. Let me just say this right out of the gate. I love our next guest. Our guest today, I should say. Giovanni Hamilton. You know him, you love him. He's all over the place. Carson Wentz signed a jersey for this young man about 2 years ago, and he became famous, right? He was just very emotional when Carson Wentz signed his jersey, and he's just been a phenomenal influence on Philadelphia when it comes to Philadelphia sports. Was sending well wishes to Dak Prescott when Dak Prescott got hurt last year. The kid is just the young man, is just an inspiration. I had a chance to catch up with him yesterday, and I'll just say this: when it comes to the draft, I don't want to be spoiler, but I think Giovanni knows. Giovanni knows who we're going to be taking in the NFL draft at number 6 overall. And I think you're all going to be very excited about that. So hopefully that player is still on the board by the time we pick, because I think Giovanni is going to be on the phone with Howie Rosen being like, dude, you can't mess this one up. You'll get this. So let's hope that's the case. So Giovanni Hamilton will join us coming up in about 20, 30 minutes or so. Look forward to that conversation. We have the Sixers to talk about. We have the Phillies to talk about. We have the Flyers to talk about. And I think I cracked the code. Every once in a while, I kind of just figure out teams as the season's going on, and I'm like, nah, I know what you're doing. The Flyers, I've cracked the code there. They just really enjoy messing with us. That's all I can really fathom right now. That's all I can really comprehend is they just really like messing with us as a fan base. So I'm watching the game last night, and the wheels are off the wagon early. I mean, they tie the game at 1-1, which was nice. Joel Farabee comes up with another goal. Good for him. All right. And then from that point on, it was just the same old song and dance that we have been seeing. They have the game where they lose 9-0, right? To the Rangers. Then they go on and they bounce back a little bit from that game, okay? And they still allow 3 goals in the game that they bounce back from. However, they go to overtime, they win the game. They enjoy messing with you. And then last night, you're thinking that after a tough loss, they're going to come out firing. And you know what? They did. When it came to effort, again, the effort was there yesterday. But when it came to just being good enough, when it came to finding that way to change the tides of the game, they didn't have it. And they came up empty. And after the game last night, me, Riley Cote, Derek Settlemeyer, and also our man Broads, right, Hunter Brody, did a little hockey post-game show for about a half hour after the game. It's the second one we've done. And Riley Cote just started speaking poetry when it came to this team. And it wasn't a matter, and Derek as well, and Hunter as well. But I was the only one. I was the only non-poet when it came to hockey talk yesterday. But when it came to what they said about this Flyers team, it wasn't a matter of, man, they got to go out there and fight, like we used to always say back in the day, right? And I don't even mean the 70s. I mean even like the 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, not happening. But they need somebody to finish a check. They need somebody to lay a good hit on somebody else. They need somebody to simply find a way to turn the tides of the game. And I figure the guy that did that last year the most, without question, I thought was Travis Konechny. He was the guy that if things weren't going well, guess what? I got you. And he would piss somebody off. He would mess with somebody. He'd be calling people nerds like he did against the Penguins in the outdoor game last year or 2 years ago. That's what I want to see from this hockey team. Somebody at least acknowledge that they're in quicksand and try to reverse that. But as they explained yesterday, the guys from the Nasty Knuckles podcast and Talking Sports with Broads, Sports Talk with Broads, what they pointed out yesterday was just that TK is in his own head right now, basically. He's in his own head right now where he can't turn the tides of this game. He can't turn the tides of a game for the Flyers because he's worried about getting benched again. He might be gripping the stick too tight, and I think that was evident again last night. But again, they like to mess with us, so it's for the vast majority of the Flyers don't look like they're in it. Then with about 5 minutes left to go in regulation, all of a sudden, they wake up, including a goal from Sean Couturier, and I believe the assist was from TK, but a goal from Sean Couturier where he got behind the defenseman, had a simple tip in, and got the goal 4-3. And you're thinking, all right, maybe. But no, not maybe, because they enjoy messing with you. And that's what I have cracked. That's the code I've cracked when it's come to the Flyers. Sure, they're going to need a defenseman, and Chuck Fletcher's supposed to speak later today. We'll see where he wants to go with this. I'm at the point right now with the Flyers that as much as I'd love to say all in, you got to try to win, this doesn't seem like their year. And I know there's been other hockey teams in the past, probably most recently the St. Louis Blues, who won the Stanley Cup after they had, an 11-game winning streak, and all the stuff happened in South Philly with the bar in South Philly. So all that stuff is not. I don't feel that this year. And true, they probably didn't feel that in St. Louis. And true, we probably didn't feel it in, when was it? 2010 when they made the Stanley Cup run as an 8th seed in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I just don't feel it this year because mostly which goaltender are you going to rely on? I don't see Carter Hart getting hot. I don't see Brian Elliott getting hot. And the reason they're not going to get hot is because in order for a netminder to get hot, you have to have somebody in front of you playing defense. And this hockey team, they don't have that. So hopefully we'll get some answers from Chuck Fletcher a little bit later on today when he tells us what's going on with this hockey team. But again, I hate to be spoiler for you. They're just messing with you. That's what they're doing right now. Speaking of teams like to mess with us, the 76ers are out in Golden State. I thought Steph Curry was actually going to be back last night, so excuse me on that. I ended up betting the game, and I know that I'm a liar. I said I wasn't going to bet the game. Guess what? I bet the game. I couldn't help myself. I was like, oh, wait, that's right. Steph Curry's still out. What am I doing? -4. Sixers going into last night. They're -4. And I couldn't help myself. I rarely bet points. And Tobias Harris, I felt special. I felt special about Tobias Harris last night. And he was at a -22.5. And I was like, yeah, they got this. And sure enough, both happened. So that was good. No big deal. But we'll get to that a little bit more in Big Bet segment with DraftKings. But watching that game play out last night, again, another team that likes to mess with you. And last night, if you stayed up, let's just say this, you went to bed at halftime. After the Sixers were just dominant, really in the early goings of that game, you see the Sixers come out, and they were up, 24 points out of nowhere? It was like you blinked, and they're up 24 points. And it wasn't like Tobias Harris went off. It wasn't like Furkan Korkmaz went off. You have Tony Bradley scoring points for you again. And then you also have Shake Milton knocking down shots for you. This is the way you want to. And Ben Simmons, by the way, was getting to the lane, getting his points last night by dribble penetration and all that. That's great to see. You want to see that. That's his game. But yesterday, they blow the 24-point lead in the third quarter. And you're thinking, no way. No Steph Curry. Obviously, no Klay Thompson. Andrew Wiggins, whatever. Draymond Green, no, he's not going to be the guy to turn this around for them. But the Sixers, turnover after turnover, missed shot after missed shot, lackadaisical play. It was like they were the opposite of the Flyers. They started out great, and then in the middle, towards the end of that game, they were just flat as flat could be. And I really got to give all the credit to Tobias Harris. Not that I foresaw him doing that. I foresaw 22.5 points for Tobias Harris plus. I saw him doing that, but I didn't see this type of leadership from him last night. I didn't foresee that. And after the game, Daryl Morey gave a great compliment to his power forward / small forward. And here's what Daryl Morey had to say when it came to the play of Tobias Harris. Take a look at what he tweeted. Tobias Harris. So he added him. He's probably not there to tell him himself. He's probably here. He's probably in Philly working on some deals. We'll get to that in just 1 second. But Tobias Harris, the most professional and consistent player in the NBA, gives us a chance to win every night and delivers in crunch time. Well, he absolutely does deliver in crunch time. And that's what we saw from Tobias Harris last night. And here's the other part about it. The way he was playing, it wasn't just about the points. It was his defense. It was the way he was able to get rebounds. He had 13 boards last night, and he was 9 for 18 shooting, was able to make his foul shots as well. This was exactly what they needed. I'm expecting a clunker along the way. And for a second, I thought as this game was playing out, it was like, oh, this is when their legs are going to get tired. This is when the West Coast trip just starting out is going to get to them because they're just getting off the plane, blah, blah, blah. And they just completely about-faced. They saved the game last night by saying, to hell with this. We're not losing to the Golden State Warriors tonight. And Tobias Harris was a big part of that. Tony Bradley, after the game, Doc Rivers came out and said Tony Bradley was the guy that if they had to give a game ball to, for instance, if they had to say that he was the player, who was the player of the game, it was Tony Bradley. And I'm fascinated by this guy because this isn't the first time that he's given you some great minutes is spelling Joel Embiid during his injury. And Joel Embiid we expect back next week. But Tony Bradley was great last night. You want to talk about aggressive? You want to talk about crashing the boards? He was doing all of that. And he even drew a foul in a very appropriate manner. If you notice, I think it was Draymond Green's technical foul where he got elbowed. Tony Bradley got elbowed in the face in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. The Sixers had already more or less taken control of the game. But Tony Bradley just gives a kind of weird look to the official, like, really? That guy's just going to elbow me? And for a guy of Tony Bradley's status, that's the way you handle that. You don't throw your hands up in the air. Oh, come on, where's the call? He very, very political. Very political in the way that he handled that. So good for Tony Bradley. Another thing from last night's game. was the bench. And we've really had the number of the bench, haven't we? We've said the bench needs to do more. Well, with Joel Embiid coming back, like I said, next week, right? And with Tony Bradley playing pretty well, I think you have a pretty decent center right there that can help spell minutes from Dwight Howard as well as Joel Embiid. So I look forward to at least seeing that from Tony Bradley. You're not going to take minutes necessarily away from Dwight Howard, but an older player, maybe he starts to get a little tired towards the end of the season. At least you can feel confident in Tony Bradley coming off the bench and being at least serviceable. Not Will Chamberlain. Don't hear me say that. I'm not saying that. I'm just being at least serviceable when he comes off the bench, which is good to see. It's always good to discover those guys that aren't going to lose a game for you. And then the other thing was Shake Milton. All the confidence in the world with that guy. All the confidence going to the hoop the way he went to the hoop last night. Tyrese Maxey, just absolutely confident going to the hoop, being aggressive, shooting threes for you last night. Towards the end of the third quarter, hit a big three for you. And you're thinking, all right, you know what? This bench is gonna help out these starters this time around, and you're feeling pretty good about it. But again, just like the Flyers, they like to mess with you. And they made it interesting. But they started to pull away late, and that was great. About 4 minutes left in the game, they started to take control of this game. And Tobias Harris had a huge hand in doing that. So loved what I saw late from the Sixers. Hated what I saw really throughout the game from the Flyers, except for the final couple of minutes where they seemed to really come to life and recapture at least a little bit of that energy that they had in the first period. Flyers lose, Sixers win 108-98, so they get the 10-point victory last night. So we'll see how the rest of this plays out for the Sixers. Trade deadline tomorrow in the NBA. Keith Pompey was on with us Monday to kind of give us a preview of what was going on. Keith Pompey does not think that the Sixers are going to mortgage the future in any way, shape, or form. He also doesn't think that they're necessarily going to go out there and make the blockbuster deal, but they could go out there and bolster the bench. That's probably the most likely scenario. Although Keith Pompey recently came out as early as yesterday, as well as some other publications around the NBA, saying that it is still the Miami Heat and the 76ers said to be going after Kyle Lowry. But this little nugget came out last night as well, that Kyle Lowry, if he goes somewhere other than Toronto, is going to want a contract extension. 2 years, $25 million per. Now, here's the catch. I know what you're thinking. Joel Embiid, a lot of money. Ben Simmons, a lot of money. Tobias Harris, a lot of money. Now you're going to go a lot of money for another guy? You're going to go a lot of money for Kyle Lowry? Yeah, you're gonna. And here's why. Here's the catch-22 here. The situation is that Kyle Lowry, you have his bird rights, so you can pay him over the salary cap and not be penalized for such. So I'm all about that. If you can get him in here, I don't know who's going to go. It's probably going to be Danny Green. It might be Seth Curry. It might be Matisse Thybulle. It might be Tyrese Maxey. It might be Picks. Here's why I am. I know a lot of people are in this kind of world right now where they don't want the Sixers to mortgage the future. And, why would we do that and all that? Look, I've grown impatient with the Sixers, and I think a lot of people have grown impatient with the Sixers as well. We went through the process. We're supposed to have a squad right now in place with Harris, Simmons, and Joel Embiid that should at least have you contend for a title. And right now, I feel like this team is at least contending for an Eastern Conference title. They're right there. First place still. The Nets won last night in Portland also. So, yeah, the Sixers are still a game up on the Nets. I believe it's still a game or 2 games up now on the Bucks. The Bucks, I think, are back at it tonight, as a matter of fact. But the Sixers just need to maintain right now. And I would love to see them add. I don't want I don't want Tyrese Maxey gone. I don't want Matisse Thybulle gone, as I said yesterday. But if you're able to get Kyle Lowry in, I'm happy to move on from a Tyrese Maxey. I'm okay with moving on from Danny Green, who I know has been a great leader, but he's been a great leader because of that championship type of mentality. Well, guess what? Kyle Lowry's got championship as well. I wouldn't mind him here in the Sixers locker room. And the $25 million you can kind of just brush off because of the bird rights, where you won't get penalized for going over the cap. I'm all for it. I don't think they end up moving Matisse Thybulle. I think they like him just as much as we all do, especially for his defense off the bench late in the game. It's great. It's phenomenal. I love seeing it. And hopefully you start to see his three-point shot continue to come along, as I feel like we mention every show. So we'll see how this all breaks down. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., NBA trade deadline gets underway. I couldn't be more excited. Here it is from the man himself, Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski, tweeting out last night. Raptors are discussing Kyle Lowry. And here's the other name, Norman Powell. Deals for right there for those two players. There's multiple fronts that they could actually trade them. They've been extended into to today, and they might extend even into tomorrow with Philadelphia and Miami. They're interested in Kyle Lowry, and also both have shown restraint in how far they'll go to get a deal done. And I think that is more so what Keith Pompey was telling us on Monday, that they're not going to break the proverbial bank in terms of assets, in terms of players that they have right now, because one of their number one priorities is keeping this starting five intact. They might go to the buyout market. They might add somebody there. But right now, they don't want to break up this starting five. They want to make sure that the chemistry is fine. And we have seen enough times, not that I don't think that Doc Rivers can't handle this, but we saw enough times under Brett Brown that they just couldn't figure it out with all the additions they made, 3 years ago, the additions they made 2 years ago, last year as well. So it's something that we're going to have to keep our eye on as this continues. Woj also went on to say this. Beyond Lowry, Sixers have also shown interest in other guards available in the marketplace, including Pau Lonzo Ball, who apparently wants $20 million a year also, as well as George Hill. Wayne Ellington's name has also been out there that's been tied to the Sixers. So a lot of names have been tied to the Sixers. And if you remember, PJ Tucker was traded to the Bucks. I believe it was the same night that the Sixers lost to the Bucks at home, a week and a half ago. So there's still a lot of fodder out there for trade deadline. I think the Sixers are going to be active, as Keith Pompey told us Monday, and I think they are going to make a move. I just don't think it's going to be a wow me type of move. In the options I presented, blockbuster deal, bench bolster, or stand pat, I think it's a bench bolster. I think they just want to get somebody else off the bench that they can rely on shooting threes. JJ Redick was tied to them again, so that might be another direction that the Sixers go to add a little bit more offense coming off the bench. But hey, again, I can't say it enough. Looking at a guy like Shake Milton, looking at guys like Tony Bradley, even with Dwight Howard's been able to give you all year off the bench for the Sixers team, it leaves you in a good place. And also defensively speaking with Matisse Thybulle throughout the year. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been just wild in terms of the spring training that the Phillies have been able to put together, in terms of waiting on guys to get healthy, waiting for guys to come back to Clearwater, Florida. And yesterday, JT Realmuto stepped up to the plate for the first time, and on the Phillies Twitter handle, they released some footage of what JT did in his first at bat. Just do yourself a favor. Listen to the sweet, sweet sound. Just one more time. Next week, Phillies get underway. Opening day against Atlanta. Aaron Nola on the hill. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. And JT Realmuto, see him get back in there, said afterwards it felt great, felt fantastic to get things underway, to actually go out there and play a little bit, get some reps in before they come north to play for play in the big league ballpark. So look forward to seeing that. One thing I omitted, but before I get to that, Joe Flacco is now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. It happened yesterday. Joe Flacco, now the backup quarterback to Jalen Hurts. So no longer do we have to hear the sentence, we only have one quarterback on our roster right now, because they have two. $5 million, it looks like, for Joe Flacco. $3.5 guaranteed of that $5 million. So they get him at a good price. They were worried about a backup quarterback last year, apparently, which is why they got Jalen Hurts to begin with. And now Joe Flacco is going to be your backup. As I said yesterday, I don't mind this move at all. If this is the direction they go, wouldn't mind at all having a Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champion, be a guy to sit behind Jalen Hurts to explain things and break things down for him. Audubon, New Jersey native, local kid come back. Imagine this. Imagine in the same week you have Joe Flacco come back to join the Eagles, and then you have Kyle Lowry, Cardinal Daggerty's own Kyle Lowry, coming back to Philadelphia to play for the 76ers. I'm all for it. Joe Flacco also released a photo. If you haven't seen it yet, it is on his Instagram account. I believe it's him and his brother wearing Eagles shirts when they were just little kids. It's a great photo. I think a lot of us have those photos as kids. But you see those photos, and you're just happy to see him back. You know, seeing you and your favorite team from when you were a little kid. I'm sure you guys have those photos as well. By the way, did your parents ever put you in a weird shirt? My brother showed me a picture yesterday when I was a little kid with a Yankees sweatshirt on. At the time, we lived in Rochester, New York, but that's like Buffalo country. I don't know. Anyway, I burned it. So, if you have any of those photos, let me know. I am not a Yankee fan, by the way. Never have been, never will be. So anyway, Joe Flacco's with the Eagles. All cool. Last night, I got to give a lot of credit to the Flyers fans that were in the building. And I believe this was after the second period. And this was put out on Twitter by Jordan Hall. I mentioned the Flyers and the Sixers, for that matter, messing with you, Philadelphia, messing with you. So yesterday, Jordan Hall took it upon himself from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Great writer, covers the Flyers, does a phenomenal job. Just listen to the crowd as the Flyers skated off the ice. I do believe this was after the second period. Take a listen to this. And keep in mind, it's what, 30? It's 30. 3,000 people at Wells Fargo Center? Yeah, it sounds like a lot more. If somebody on the team isn't going to shake things up, I guess the fans have to. The coach has tried almost too much to shake things up, if you ask me. If it's not going to be the fans, it's going to be Chuck Fletcher. I mean, I feel like you've tried to send a message already, especially with Elaine Vigneault taking TK out of the lineup all those, in the beginning of the season, it felt like. So at what point are these guys going to realize that they should be a better hockey team than what they are? And the only one that I see emotion from on the ice, other than Oscar Lindblom trying to fight and Nolan Patrick trying to fight, I do see Claude Giroux pretty pissed off. And he's the only one that I'll see they'll get shots of as he's going around the ice after a blown play, after a missed opportunity, not just from him, but from anybody. He's just got that scowl on his face, and that red beard and red hair and red eyebrows just get a little bit more fiery as the game goes on. So, they at least know they're struggling. It's just a matter of how they're going to correct it. And hopefully, if the fans have to be the ones that kick him in the behind, well, then so be it. And hopefully that's the case. Right now, I want to tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Here at the Steven Singer Studio, I like to make sure everyone gets taken care of at Steven Singer, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, and IHateStevenSinger.com. I've been mentioning to you, I sent my brother there for his wedding rings, for his engagement ring as well, for his wedding bands and all that. I sent my buddy Robert most recently there to go get a wedding band for himself. I send everybody I can to Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers because I want you to be taken care of, and I also don't want you to have to worry when you already got enough on your mind. Big purchase, engagement ring, wedding bands. You got enough pressure on you. Why have the pressure of haggling? You don't have to negotiate. You don't have to haggle. You don't have to worry about what the guy next to you is paying for the same ring, possibly. You don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is walk in, make an appointment on the appointment scheduler, sit down, have a real jewelry expert walk you through everything, and you get everything at the perfect price every single time. The perfect price. Just like everybody else, the perfect price every time. So you don't have to worry about any of the negotiating stuff. Like other jewelers, they'll mark things up just so they can mark it down in front of you, make you feel like you're getting some kind of deal. Not at Steven Singer Jewelers. They don't want you to have to worry about that. The perfect price every single time at the other corner of 8th and Walnut or at IHateStevenSinger.com. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest, I am just thrilled. And by the way, stay tuned after Giovanni as well, because we have a phenomenal guest coming for you tomorrow as well. But Giovanni, I consider to be such an inspiring young man. And I told you yesterday that my grandfather passed away. And my grandfather was 100 years old. And throughout his life, he had great perspective. Just everything was a great perspective. He struggled when he was a young man. His family did. He was the son of Lithuanian immigrants. And he just had a great perspective on life where nothing seemed to bother him. And whatever did step in his way, brush it off and keep going forward with a smile on his face. Giovanni Hamilton is that same type of personality, which is why I love the guy. And he was nice enough to give us some time yesterday. I found out he's a podcaster. I didn't even know that. He's got a podcast going on Eagles Brawl as well, at Eagles Brawl, so you can check that out. And I just enjoyed the heck out of this conversation and hope you do too. Without further ado, joining us on the Zatos Investments guest line, new friend of the show, super Eagles fan, ultimate Eagles fan, podcaster, broadcaster, host extraordinaire, new friend of the show, Giovanni Hamilton. My great honor to speak to super ultimate Eagles fan, Giovanni. Giovanni, thanks for joining the show, man. How you been?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. First off, while I'm doing the show, I didn't even realize this until last week. You're a podcaster. You host your own show. So if I'm doing anything that you think is wrong, please just critique me, all right? Please correct me.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So I'm under the microscope here, so I just want to make sure that you're correcting me on anything I do wrong. Let's get to this first and foremost. You made more headlines, and you seem to be making headlines all the time here, my friend. You made headlines when Carson Wentz came over to you and signed your jersey at training camp a few years back. You made more headlines when you said, "Sorry to see what happened to you, Dak Prescott." A very sincere message to the Cowboys quarterback when he got hurt last year, and then of course we all know Carson Wentz ends up in Indianapolis, but he still takes care of you, sends you a jersey. And unfortunately, some people, well, first of all, let me ask you about this. Since Carson Wentz signed that jersey for you, how have you enjoyed or how have you handled the spotlight of being so famous now?
I've just tried to not let it go to my head.
That's very good. You must have a good mom, because my mom says the same thing. No, that's great, man. Good for you. And then Carson Wentz sends you that jersey from the Indianapolis Colts. You post a photo of it, and most people were awesome, and then some people wanted to be jerks about it, man. You handle this like a champion. How do you handle this whole situation? Because you seem to just have a great perspective.
Well, this situation was pretty bad. We had to turn off my comments for my post now. But me and my mom were talking about it. We want to turn this into something good, and that's why we're starting the Giovanni kindness huddles, where we're going to try to get a few NFL players on to just talk about bullying and cyberbullying and how we can change it and how it's bad and it needs to stop. And yeah, we just want to turn it into something good.
Well, I know somebody tried to help you, and I have a tweet right here from Lane Johnson who says he's got your back. I know the Eagles did that as well. They said they have your back, but Lane Johnson saying right here, next time make sure you at me. Find me in person. And I'm going to bat for the real Giovanni, and that is number 65. Giovanni has your back. What's it like to know that an Eagles offensive lineman, a right tackle like Lane Johnson, has your back?
It's pretty cool because you see him out there, the big guy. No one's going to mess with him.
You're right. Hey, you know, what are you, 13 years old?
Yeah.
13 years old. You know you always make friends with the biggest kid in class, right? That's the rule.
Yeah.
So that's wild. So tell me a little bit more about Giovanni's kindness huddles. What are you going to be doing with that?
We're just going to try to change people's perspective and their view and try to get more people to be nice to each other, because this day and age, we already have enough in the world to deal with. We don't need extra.
You could not be more accurate. And as I said, you have a great perspective. And thank you for sharing that with the people that you're going to be sharing that with for Giovanni's kindness huddles. How about we talk some football? All right, let's talk. Well, you got your podcast, right? So yeah. I just want to talk some football. You just interviewed a younger offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jack Driscoll, I believe, out of Auburn. He just had his rookie year with the Eagles, had some injury issues, but you just had him on your podcast. What type of insights did you guys get to?
We talked about funny stories, and he wanted to know some good food places in Philly. So I told him that. He told me how this year was really weird without the fans. Yeah, we just had a good time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. What are your food recommendations? Where would you tell me to go? I mean, I grew up in this area, but where would you tell me to go? Where are your spots?
Chicky and Pete's.
Solid.
The Conchi Italian Bakery.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
They are the best.
They are great.
Their tomato pie is the best. What else? Oh, Jim's. I've never had it, but Zach Ertz wants to take me there. So I want to go try that. And Gino's.
Okay. All right. Now, those are all great spots. Great spots, of course. Now, when it comes to this Eagles team, we're going through a big transition right now. We're going to Nick Sirianni. It looks like Jalen Hurts is going to take over as the starting quarterback of the team. I know you love Carson Wentz, but how would you assess to this point Jalen Hurts as the Eagles starting quarterback?
He's my guy. Now he's my starting quarterback. I'm going to represent him. I'm going to give him all that I have to give. And I'm just going to represent his number proudly and root him on now.
That's great, man. And how about Nick Sirianni? He's going to be taking over the team. He's the new head coach. What are your early impressions of Nick Sirianni?
I'm really excited for him because he's a young coach. I want to be a coach someday, so it's cool to see a young coach like him being the head coach of our team.
So is that the goal for you? Do you want to end up in football or around football? Like what's the end goal for you? Like what do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a head coach.
That's great, man. That's all. Well, I'll tell you what. I look forward to your press conferences because something tells me you wouldn't be hiding much. It would be all out there, man. All emotion all the time. And we fellow podcasters, we fellow broadcasters, we eat that stuff up, right?
Yeah.
That's great. All right. So number 6, pick number 6 in the NFL draft. That's where the Eagles are picking. Let's just set the scene for a second here. You're sitting next to Howie Roseman. You're sitting next to Jeffrey Lurie. They lean over. The board is a little different than they expected. And they go, we don't know what to do here. And they look at you. You're in the room with them. And they say, Giovanni, what do you want us to do here? Where do you want him to go at number 6?
Jamar Chase, definitely.
Get a playmaker.
Yep.
All right. Now, I love that idea. That's going to make Jalen Hurts look good no matter what. That's Jalen Reagor catching the ball for him. And that's Jamar Chase. What do you like about Jamar Chase?
Everything, really. He's a deep threat, which is good. I think that we can make him with Nick Sirianni. He's really good with developing players. I think we can make Jamar Chase amazing and unstoppable.
I'm all for that. So let's look at the overview here, Giovanni. The Eagles, a lot of people are saying it's going to be a rebuild. It's going to be a long rebuild. Brandon Graham told us last week. He's like, I don't want to hear anything about a rebuild, man. We're going for it, right? So how long do you think we're going to be dealing with a rebuild, if a rebuild at all? What do you see this year for the Philadelphia Eagles in the newly minted Jalen Hurts era?
I hope it's not a rebuild. But I think that they're going to probably take this year and maybe next year and rebuild. That's obviously not what I'm hoping for because I want to make another Super Bowl run. But I think that they're going to try to rebuild these next few years and then go for the Super Bowl.
Do you have a dream interview on your podcast you haven't had yet? Somebody you really, really want to interview?
Brian Dawkins.
You want to interview Brian Dawkins?
Yeah.
What's one of the questions you would ask Brian Dawkins?
Like how does he keep that energy? Like, how does he keep all that energy?
That's amazing. Well, I consider you to be a highly energetic individual, so maybe you guys could trade secrets at some point.
Yeah.
That's great. Giovanni, speaking of perspective and speaking of energy, we've certainly mentioned that word perspective. Some people, they have it pretty good, but they're very negative. You always seem to be so optimistic, so positive, no matter what you're going through. What is your secret for the people that want to be able to find your type of perspective? How do you keep that perspective?
Surround yourself with good people. Me being surrounded by my mom and dad has really helped me. I think that they've helped me get to where I am. So I know that even how big you are, it doesn't matter. Stay kind, stay humble, which I think that's a really good thing to live by.
That's amazing. And you know what? Someone as awesome as you shouldn't have to have their perspective put to the test as many times as it has been, especially on social media when it's just people trying to get attention for themselves. So, Giovanni, I respect the heck out of you, man, and I wish you nothing but success in your endeavor to be an NFL head coach. But I do want to ask you this. Have you seen the movie about Eagles fans that leads up to the Super Bowl maybe next year?
No.
You haven't seen this movie yet. Would you like to relive a little bit, in case there is a little bit of a rebuild, would you like to maybe relive some of that 2017, 2018 magic?
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, who wouldn't? You know, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you a copy of the movie maybe next year, and you can relive some of the great magic of that 2017 Super Bowl run. How's that sound?
Good.
All right. Awesome. Hey, Giovanni, where can I listen to your podcast, brother?
On the Eagles Brawl, anywhere where you get your podcasts.
Okay, great. Eagles Brawl, anywhere we get our podcast. Giovanni, let me tell you, it was 1,000% all my pleasure to have this conversation with you. And now time for the critique. How'd the interview go? How'd I do, fellow podcaster?
Good.
There we go. That's all I need. That's all I need. That you just made my day, my week, and my year, as a matter of fact. Giovanni, thank you so much for joining the show. We really appreciate it. Giovanni, super Eagles fan, ultimate Eagles fan, podcaster, and just a young man with a phenomenal perspective. Giovanni, thank you so much, and thank your mom for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Giovanni joining the show on the Zatos Investments guest line. You're the man. How could you not be happy after talking to Giovanni? How could you not be inspired after talking to that young man? Great conversation with him, and definitely give his podcast a listen. Speaks to Jack Driscoll, offensive lineman of the Philadelphia Eagles, just coming off his rookie year. So make sure you give that a listen for Giovanni Hamilton. Absolutely loved being able to talk to him finally. Right now, I do have to tell you about some great things going on with DraftKings. You got the big tournament going on. Everything right now, the craziness in this crazy month. Tournament in full swing. Action hasn't disappointed. Right now, there's just been so many storylines going on right now, whether or not it's Villanova, whether it's not Loyola, whether or not it's Sister Jean, all the stuff going on right now. And a lot of flow, a lot of haircuts, a lot of mustaches. Having a good time watching that. But just so many things, including two upsets just 2 days ago. It's just been a wild ride this tournament. So DraftKings Sportsbook wants to make you making some money off this. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $1 on any tournament game, and if your team wins, you win $100. That's that simple. 100 to 1 odds. That's it. Just if your team wins. Turning $1 into $100, 100 to 1 odds. Pick any college basketball team that's still on the hunt for your shot at winning $100, and it takes $1, a $1 bet, and that team winning. And next thing you know, you got $100. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if college basketball isn't for you. DraftKings Sportsbook also has great odds when it comes to hockey, comes to pro basketball, and also UFC 260. DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 if the college basketball team of your choosing pulls off the victory. 100 to 1 odds when you use promo code Farzy for new customers. For a limited time only at DraftKings. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And how about our friends at Zatos and Zatos Investments, crushing it in the Philadelphia real estate game right now? They're an up-and-coming luxury real estate development and investment company in the Philadelphia area. They design and develop top-of-the-line custom homes around the city, ranging from small single-family rehabs to ground-up new construction townhomes and condo buildings as well. Zatos does it all. Zatos also works closely with their private investor base to provide them with really substantial returns on their investment, ranging from 20 to 40%. These guys, like I said, killing it in the Philadelphia real estate game right now. To learn more, to see their properties, and also learn how you can invest with Zatos Investments, reach out at info@zatosinvestments.com. That's info@zatosinvestments.com. Send them an email or visit zatosinvestments.com. And the fun just keeps on coming with FanUp. Have you downloaded the app yet? The FanUp app? Have you used promo code FanUp? Have you got yourself a free 2,000 points? Have you rose on the leaderboard yet? Have you challenged your friends to new things? Well, come on if you haven't. FanUp, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy yourself. Get the only place where you can win some brand prizes. You can win cash. You can, like I said, rise on their leaderboard at FanUp. Great new app to enjoy sports as well as so many other things with the FanUp app. I told you, I'm looking at Tobias Harris last night. I'm thinking he's going to beat somebody else, challenge a friend of mine. Next thing I know, we got some more points. I'm almost at 10,000, I think. Not too bad. And that was all on Tobias Harris. So FanUp, make sure you get involved with all your friends and win some brand prizes. The hottest brand prizes. They gave away a Louis Vuitton bag last week. They gave away a pair of Jordans a couple of weeks ago. You could be winning at FanUp. So make sure you do that. You could be the real MVP no matter the day, week, or season with FanUp. Download the FanUp app in the App Store. Use promo code FanUp and get 2,000 bonus points. That's FanUp. May the best fan win. All right, let's get into our social media check-in brought to you by our friends at Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Ladies and gentlemen, so much to really have the conversation with people and all the stuff that's been going on, all the stuff that we've kicked around so far today. Ken's checking in saying, morning, Mark. We'll right back at you. Sports Talk with Broad still fired up. I got to tell you, I didn't think Broads was going to make the show last night. I thought Broads was going to be out with a head explosion. Exploded head? his head would explode and he couldn't do the show. That's what he was kind of hinting at during our text chain with the Nasty Knuckles guys and myself, that he was just his head was going to explode. So I wasn't sure whether or not he was going to play. However, he's a hockey player. Even if his head explodes, he'll still play, and that's what he did yesterday. So good hustle to you, bros, for playing through that, man. You're good for you. So it's a wild thing watching that Flyers game last night because, like I said, the fans booed. Carter Hart made 28 saves in the loss, and a couple of those instances they let him out to dry. It was 2 power play goals. There was one really weird hand pass from Kevin Hayes that I believe it was before the Palmieri goal, where it was a clear hand pass and then ended up being a turnover. And I'm like, wow, you can't even hand pass it properly to your own teammate, and that's going to result in a turnover. So cool, more stuff to yell and scream about when it comes to the Flyers. James checking in. Mark, no thanks on 2 years, $25 million for Kyle Lowry. If Josh Harris is willing to pay the money and it's not going to affect you cap-wise because of his bird rights, why not? As long as you don't have to give up a king's ransom for him. If you're going to – see, this news breaking out, obviously it hurts the Raptors because maybe the team only wants a rental. Maybe they don't want to make a financial commitment for the next 2 years to a 34, 35, maybe 36-year-old player. 34 right now, Kyle Lowry. Maybe they don't want to make that commitment. So maybe a team can just be like, wait, hold on a second. I got to pay more money for this guy? I'm going to have to re-sign him? Now, you might think, oh, but wait a minute, you're going to get more value out of him. Are you? At 35, 36, I don't know too many people that are coming into their own at that age. I know people that are on decline in that age. And you want to be paying somebody on the decline $25 million? That's a funny story. So yeah, I'm good on that. But if they're able to not blow up the team, if they don't have to give up Matisse Thybulle, if they are only giving up picks, if it's Seth Curry doing it, then yeah, I can party. But yeah, just straight up, or excuse me, signing that money and giving up a lot of future prospects as well. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. It's actually a reverse from what I'd normally do. If the guy wanted another deal, but he was 28 years old, let's say, yeah, all right, great. But 34? Don't think so. What else do we got here? We got Mac checking in. It isn't your money, Jay. Like, I get that argument all the time. You know, it's not your money. I get it. But if you don't have to take a cap penalty with it, if you don't have to go over the cap with it, again, because of the bird rights, which means that's what the Sixers would be getting along with Kyle Lowry, then you can not overpay. Well, it's still going to be overpaid. But you can go over the cap and not have to worry about the penalty, so it really doesn't go against you. So I'm all on board if it means getting Kyle Lowry, but not at a crazy price. Not in terms of what you would have to give up. What else? Mac also says, JK, laugh out loud. I actually agree with you. All right, there we go. Look at us getting along. Brett checking to Mark. Nick Sirianni needs to watch his back with Giovanni rising up. I'll say Giovanni commands a room. Nick Sirianni, not so much. Giovanni, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Giovanni definitely commands the room. I would play for him. Absolutely. Henry, what do you mean maybe 35, 36? What else do you turn after 34? I don't know if he's turning 35 now. I don't know when his birthday is what I'm telling you. So if he's turning 35 tomorrow, then that means you'd have him next year at 36 for some of the year, and you have him at 37. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say. In the words of one of my favorite comics, Brian Regan. Taylor checking in on the show. What do you think the fans turn on the Toby contract again? No time soon. Now that Tobias Harris is just slaying it right now when it comes to the way he's playing basketball. Tobias Harris, this is what I appreciate. I appreciate this in life, and I appreciate this in sports. And that's the guy that steps up and says, no mas. And not in the quitting context. The guy that says, enough. We're not going to allow another 40 points to the Warriors like the Sixers did in the third quarter of last night's game. They're going to step up. They're going to get points. The guy that goes, enough. I remember, and I'm not saying Tobias Harris is this, but one of the things I loved about Allen Iverson is there'd be multiple times during a game where if the Sixers weren't playing up to par at any point, Allen Iverson would be the guy on the court just being like, yo, come on, boys. Come on, boys. This ain't happening. Let's do this. If they're wearing the blue jerseys with the Sixers swish underneath, it was, come on, blue. If it was the black jersey, it was like, come on, black. Like, guys like that say, enough of the BS. I'm taking over this game. You all are going to help me do it, so let's get after it. And that's what Tobias Harris has done. And that's why Daryl Morey took it upon himself to tweet last night and at Tobias Harris that he's a great professional. He's a star in this league, and they have a chance to win every single night because of Tobias Harris. And this is all, again, without Joel Embiid. They're still winning without Joel Embiid. And now they have 5 straight road victories, and a lot of that is thanks to Tobias Harris. Love it. Keep it coming, Tobias Harris. What else do we have here? Henry, I'm kidding, Mark. But do we want that Nova stank around us? Hashtag Temple made. All right. How do I put this? When I was at Temple, I hated, despised all other teams in the Big Five. And I know Drexel made the tournament. Shout out to the City Six. Good hustle. But I hated every other team in the Big Five. And then I graduated, and then I got into the business, and then I met Jay Wright, and I got to know Phil Martelli, and I got to know these guys a little bit. And Fran Dunphy, of course, even when he was at Penn, before he went to Temple and all that. And I love the late, great John Chaney. And John Giannini, phenomenal guy. But when I watch the Big Five now, and when I watch college basketball locally, it has hurt my hatred, strong word, for the other Big Five teams, because there's a brotherhood there. These guys, and it softened me up when you see these guys doing everything they can with Coaches versus Cancer and getting out in the community and really embracing what the Big Five is supposed to be, which is just the best of college basketball in Philadelphia and helping the city and helping the morale of the city. So although I never root for Villanova to win, you won't see me when they're up against Baylor being like, come on, boys, let's go. No, that's not my squad. I don't mind if they win anymore. If they're playing Temple, oh, God, I hope they miss every shot they take. No doubt. But it has definitely softened me over the last 15 years watching these guys do everything they do in the community. So I'm sorry. I don't have the venom anymore. And I'm not the only one I know that feels this way. I know a lot of people that when they graduate and they go, oh, wow, this was bigger than me in my junior year at Temple. This is bigger than me in my senior year at Temple. So I'm sorry. When it comes to that, I'm a big softy and Miss Scoozy. Pete's checking in, Nova Nation. Okay, that's too far. All right, that's rooting for Villanova. I ain't doing that. All right, I'm just not necessarily minding it if they win. That was our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Let's get to our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and skymotorcars.com. I mentioned it for you earlier. Here it is, Joe Flacco and his brother. Isn't that adorable? I think it's his brother. That's just great. Rooting for the home team again. Hope I can find this shirt. Joe Flacco putting it out there. By the way, for those that don't know, Joe Flacco is the way everyone says it in Baltimore, in case you didn't know that. It's not Delco, just to clear that up. Very similar, the Baltimore accent, the Delco accent, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing the Balmer accent when it comes to all things Joe Flacco. So anyway, Joe Flacco putting it out there with his brother. Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, set to fight. That's right. Now, you saw Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson fight a little bit ago, a couple months back. Now what's going to happen? Now Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson are going to fight it out on May 29th. Mike Tyson goes on, I believe it was a podcast, and says, "Oh yeah, we're gonna fight May 29th." He said, "I'm sorry, he didn't say that." He said, "Yeah, we're gonna fight on May 29th." So that's what he said. So look forward to that fight May 29th. I don't know what it is about these old guys fighting each other, but I can't look away. When I was a kid, it was Jerry Springer. You had to watch Jerry Springer. You couldn't miss Jerry Springer. It was that accident that you just had to rubberneck as you drove by. By the way, I hate rubberneckers. Oh, my God. Drives me crazy. But when it comes to TV and you're sitting on your cell phone, you're not blocking anybody in traffic, it's fine. And that's what these fights have become. And far be it from me to take it away from these guys, but Roy Jones Jr., Mike Tyson looked like they were having a lot of fun with all this. So there we go. That's going to happen. I watched with my cousin Ray, my dad, and my buddy Sean. We watched both 1 and 2. Tyson Holyfield 1, Tyson Holyfield 2. I will never forget the feeling when I saw, wow, Mike Tyson bite Evander Holyfield's ear off. I was like, no. They stopped the fight. You just saw Evander Holyfield start to go nuts, jumping up and down, waving his arms and all that. And then you see part of his ear is missing. What? And then, all right, Mills Lane, let's get it on. They get together, the referee for the fight. And then they fought. They keep fighting. Tyson does it again. What? So, hey, credit to Evander Holyfield. Apparently, he isn't scarred from that. So, He is. Anyway, so we'll see what happens as far as that goes. Also, I want to get to this. What's the greatest excuse? Hit me up in the comments here. Hit me up on Twitter as well. What's the greatest excuse you've ever given to get out of work? What is the greatest excuse you've ever given to get out of work? I asked this question. I'm going to butcher this man's name, but I'm going to try to say it properly here. Mariusz Kamiński from Poland now lives in England. Apparently, this just went to trial. Back in 2017, he called his boss, told him he couldn't come to work. I think the guy's a chef. Told him he couldn't come to work. And the boss was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I've been kidnapped. Only, what was the last name? Kamiński wasn't kidnapped. The boss, as I think any decent human being would do, calls the cops. And he calls the cops, and the cops are like, oh, we'll look into it, sir. Start interviewing people, find out the whole thing's bogus. And apparently, because it was a misappropriation of police, policemen, I guess, law enforcement, the guy goes to jail. So he goes to jail for calling his boss, telling him he got kidnapped because he didn't want to go to work. He had some pretty valid reasons for not wanting to go to work. No valid reasons for saying he was kidnapped. But I'm a goody in that regard. I've never lied to get out of work. Not that I remember, at least. So yeah, but I know a lot of people have had some good excuses. So, I want to hit me up there in the comment section or tweet me as well. I do want to get into this as well. Back to Major League Baseball. Phillies again. They're going to be starting things up starting next week with opening day. Can't wait for that. I mentioned JT Realmuto back in the swing of things, literally hitting a home run in his first at bat. Something else I wanted to throw in there about that Phillies team when it comes to the morning rush today was Joe Girardi's attitude. Maybe a month ago, I mentioned this, and I want to get back to it because you heard it again yesterday when he was addressing the media. Excuse me. You heard it again yesterday when he was addressing the media. And there's this attitude with Joe Girardi of similar to what I had said about Tobias Harris, having that guy that says enough. And Joe Girardi is looking at his bullpen, looking at a guy like Archie Bradley that they've added, looking at his lineup, seeing hopefully Rhys Hoskins come back into his own this year, and I feel like we've said that for the last 3 years. Also looking at Bryce Harper with Larry Bowa saying, 40 home runs. Don't mess with me. 40 home runs, MVP candidate. Let's party. And then you also hear Alec Boehm and all the great things being said about him. And you also, JT Realmuto being healthy, Aaron Nola looking sharp. All this, and Joe Girardi is just giving you this confidence in this team saying, enough is enough. This isn't about rebuilding anymore. They got one spot that's up for grabs, and that's the center field spot. Odubel Herrera, Roman Quinn, Scott Kingery, Adam Hazley got hurt earlier in spring. So you look at the one position that they have yet to sew up, and that's really it. That's the only position battle that you're really looking at right now. Everything else, Joe Girardi's like, I got my lineup. I got my starters. I know what I have here. And these guys should know what they have in themselves, talent-wise. Enough is enough. Let's push forward if you're the Philadelphia Phillies. Absolutely love hearing that from the Phillies manager. All right, let's jump into Big Bets. That was Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Big Bet segment brought to you by DraftKings. Check out DraftKings Sportsbook and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now to get in all the action going on with all the craziness that is the month of March. So here's how it played out last night. Last night, I realized that Chef Curry was still out, and I took a look at Tobias Harris, figured that it was only a 4-point spread. Sixers were -4 going into the game, and I said, you know what? I like that. But here's where betting a game can really help you out. It was late as hell, all right? The game ended 6 hours ago. Well, yeah, 6 hours ago-ish. And I knew I was going to have a little extra adrenaline to really keep my mind on the game. So I was like, I got to find a way to bet this game. So I looked at Tobias Harris's numbers. 22.5 points was his over-under for the night on his own points. I took the over as far as that went. And then last night, I also took the Sixers at -4. And it turned out it paid off. So I win both bets there. So if anybody needs some bread, you come to this guy. Yeah, so that's what I jumped on last night. Tonight, it was excruciating going back to that 40-point third quarter that the Golden State Warriors were able to put together. Watching Draymond Green mess with it. Watching Andrew Wiggins start to get hot. Watch them start to knock down threes. And I'm like, all right, guys, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do what the Flyers do and mess with me. You're not going to do that. And they, sure enough, they did it anyway. But they won, and they covered, and Tobias Harris got over his 22.5 points. So I won 2 bets last night. My bet tonight, hopefully keep this going. I like the Nuggets over the Raptors tonight. Trade deadline coming up. I think Kyle Lowry off his game a little bit. That's a big part of their offense, of course. I like the Denver Nuggets, -1.5 points to beat the Raptors tonight. 7:40 tip-off tonight. Take advantage of that on DraftKings and the DraftKings Sportsbook. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our guest, Giovanni Hamilton, one more time for just being so inspiring. Make sure you check out his podcast on Eagles Brawl. Make sure you check that out. And also, I mentioned I'm going to be giving him the movie maybe next year. If you haven't seen that yet, make sure you get your hands on a copy. It's a phenomenal movie. It's a lot of fun, and it does help you relive some of the moments from that 2017, all the moments really from that 2017 season, as we rode that crazy train, that crazy ride throughout the 2017 season. We're going to get into all things sports again tomorrow. Tomorrow morning on the show, Connor Barwin will be joining us. Currently, right now, the Philadelphia Eagles front office. He's also got a what is he calling this? A garage sale, a yard sale going on, where he's going to be getting rid of some of his memorabilia. Jason Kelsey has donated some stuff, so Connor Barwin will be on with us tomorrow. Also, pay attention to his social media to get more information on it. But Connor Barwin will join the show tomorrow morning, and he'll give us a little rundown of everything he's given away. We'll also reflect on his career and all things Philadelphia Eagles when Connor Barwin joins the show tomorrow. Look forward to that conversation as well. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, had a blast with you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you click subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms where we broadcast the show. And make sure you give Giovanni a follow as well. Have a great rest of your day. Jim Hyden produced the program today. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production from the Steven Singer Studios. I'm Marc Farzetta. Have a great rest of the day, everybody.